UFC 225 preview, Yoel Romero rematches middleweight champion Robert Whittaker as former WWE star CM Punk makes octagon return. The UFC arrives in Chicago, Illinois with its biggest card of the year so far as Robert Whittaker defends his middleweight championship against Yoel Romero in a highly anticipated rematch. Elsewhere, Rafael dos Anjos bids to win gold at a second weight class as he takes on controversial character Colby Covington in the co-main, while CM Punk looks to pick up the first win of his mixed martial arts career against fellow rookie Mike Jackson. Here, Sportsmail takes you through the action on the main card. Middleweight Championship. The night's headline act will see Whittaker make the first defense of his 185-pound title against the man he beat to capture gold back in July. The Australian-edged Cuban powerhouse Romero in a thrilling 5-round contest to win the interim title before becoming the undisputed champion following Georges St-Pierre's decision to vacate. The victory capped off a stunning rise to the top, Whittaker now undefeated in over 4 years with 8 straight wins to his name. Robert Whittaker vs. Yoel Romero. Rafael dos Anjos vs. Colby Covington. CM Punk vs. Mike Jackson. Holly Holm vs. Megan Anderson. Andrei Arlovski vs. Tai Tuivasa. Alistair Overeem vs. Curtis Blades. Claudia Gadulho vs. Carla Esparza. Ricardo Lamas vs. Mirsad Bektik. Rashad Coulter vs. Chris De La Roca. Rashad Evans vs. Anthony Smith. Joseph Benavides vs. Sergio Pettis. Clay Guida vs. Charles Oliveira. Mike Santiago vs. But there is no doubt over who is the toughest challenge of the 8. Olympic wrestling gold medalist Romero, widely regarded as one of the best fighters never to have held a UFC belt. Putting the Whittaker fight to one side, the Soldier of God has dispatched of the rest of the division, winning all 9 of his other bouts since 2011, beating the likes of Tim Kennedy, Jacare Souza and Chris Weidman in the process. And he gets a second shot at the strap here after knocking out perennial top contender Luke Rockhold at UFC 221 in February. At 41 years old, this is probably Romero's last chance to win the big one, but the best middleweight on the planet stands in his way. This one could go either way, with both men capable of finishing the other at any moment. Whittaker's superior striking and cardio may be the difference. Interim welterweight championship. The co-main event sees an interim 170-pound title put up for grabs with champion Tyron Woodley still recovering from shoulder surgery. Former lightweight king Rafael dos Anjos is bidding to become the first Brazilian and 5th man ever to win gold at 2 different weight classes as he steps inside the cage with a man who has drawn the ire of the MMA world over the past year. Colby "Chaos" Covington has established himself as one of the most polarizing figures in the UFC, regularly insulting fans, media members, and other fighters. There is no doubt this strategy has paid off, accelerating the American heel's rapid rise from the prelims to a title shot. Often amusing, as seen when he spoiled the ending of Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War on Twitter, Covington has also overstepped the mark at times, most notably when he fought in dos Anjos' home nation in October. Having pulled off the biggest win of his career, outpointing Demian Maia in Sao Paulo, Covington proceeded to label the country a dump in his post-fight interview. "All you filthy animals suck," the 30-year-old continued as fans inside the arena began to throw their food and drinks at him. Dos Anjos now gets a chance to defend his country's honor, and you have to fancy him to do so after his dominant start to life at 170 pounds. The 33-year-old Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt has won all 3 since moving up, beating Tarek Safdin, Neil Magny and former champ Robbie Lawler. He will no doubt have the advantage on the feet, having greatly improved his striking in recent years, but could come unstuck on the ground against the grinding wrestling of Covington, who has backed up his talk with a 5-fight win streak. Welterweight. Former WWE champion CM Punk will fight in the UFC for a second time this weekend. The 39-year-old, real name Phil Brooks, decided to swap the wrestling ring for the octagon back in 2014 but was humiliated on his debut, losing via submission to Mickey Gall in just over 2 minutes in 2016. The nature of the defeat led many to criticize the UFC's decision to sign the 2-time WWE champion, who had no prior mixed martial arts experience. But the promotion has decided to give Punk a second chance in his hometown, with the Cult of Personality taking on Mike Jackson, who has an identical record, also losing his only professional fight to Gall. Punk has continued to train full-time ever since his defeat on his debut, and his coaches and training partners are convinced his second outing will be a far more successful one against a man who should be much closer to his level skill-wise. It's the last chance saloon for the American in the UFC, with Dana White confirming he will be cut should he suffer defeat once more.